So today on Blade District, we're going to be unboxing the Civivi Altus, not the Atlas, because I keep wanting to say that, but the Civivi Altus. This is a thumb stud operated button lock. I actually just unboxed the Civivi Conspirator the other day, which was my first Civivi button lock, and I was blown away with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll put a link up here if you want to check that out later. But we're going to take a look at the Civivi Altus. Quick unboxing, first impressions, review, and then I have a few knives that I'm going to compare it to. It's pretty unique the way I'm going to compare it, so stick around for that. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. If you're interested in more knife content, upcoming giveaways, always appreciate the support. So typical Civivi stuff. Let's move this to the side real quick. This is done in a black G10. The blade, what is it? I want to say it's Nitro-V. It's more of a satin or bead blast finish, it looks like. So right off the bat, this is not a big knife, but it's kind of chunky. It's, let's see, what does it come out with? I think it's a hair over 3 inches, the blade, I believe. 3.05. According to Blade HQ, I'm using that for some references and everything. We have a deep carry pocket clip. You know, just a tiny bit might be showing up. It's not recessed at all, but typical Civivi. Centering out the box. Looks perfect. I'm excited to try this because the Conspirator, I love the way the button lock worked, the way it operated on here. Right off the bat, I can tell this is recessed. You could see it kind of sits just about flush. So no accidental pushing in there. Let's give it a first flick, see how it feels. Ooh. Wow. So on a button lock, it's not technically a D10. I'm going to like refer to it as a D10. It's just the way it acts and holds it in place. But this, ready, watch. That's pretty tough. That pulls it in very nicely, much more than a Conspirator did. So this thing really flies out when you're deploying it. No lock stick when you're pushing the button. There you go. You just have to engage and disengage the button to really catch it at the right point. Wow. This thing really flies. Let's do a reverse flick. This thing flies for a button lock. And of course, since you have the button lock, you could literally just press it and open it. Again, you got to catch it at the right spot. I find it easier to do on the bigger knife. There you go. You might get that happening. Again, I'm going to refer to it as D10, even though it's not, but just check this out and listen to it and watch how quick this thing flies out. It's pretty crazy, actually. Slow roll, no problem. But you feel it, even on the slow roll. You feel it. I'm going to pull on that Conspirator real quick again. Because this guy's got a fuller, and it's so easy to break that wannabe D10. For this one, it ain't like that. It's harder. You can see it wants to pop out even if I try so slowly. If you push straight up, this thing just rockets out. And since it's smaller, I'm finding it a little bit harder to catch it on the close compared to the big Conspirator. I'm just having too much fun. Let's actually talk about the knife a little bit. So I believe this is Nitro-V. Civivi always hiding it. There you go. I don't know if I can get it on camera. Right there. Nitro-V. It looks like a very fine satin. Not satin in the sense of like a satin rubber, whatever. It's like a bead blast, I would say. Some up close of the black G10. Milled liners. Is it? Yep, both sides. Still comes in at over 3 ounces, 3.1 ounces. Let's see, slow roll again, and how does it drop? Drops quick, a smaller blade. Drops quick. Gotta catch it the right way. All blacked out as far as hardware and G10. Only thing not blacked out is that blade, which when Civivi does their Nitro-V, look at that edge. Just glistening in the light here. ergos. Let's see. I got smaller hands, slightly on the smaller side. I'll put up right here some measurements. For me, I get a full 4-finger grip. You have this extra little opening here to kind of have a little more security. You do have some jimping up here. It's not too heavy or too light. It's just there. I would say it's more on the lighter side, to be honest. But it does the job. The clip is just jabbing me in the back over here. There we go. Definitely not like the Conspirator. This one takes a little bit more time or effort to open and deploy and catch at the right time. There goes my dog again. I'm always doing these videos when I'm home alone. My dog's downstairs, so I apologize if you hear her barking. I'm going to have to go down and play with her in a little bit. Let's compare this to some other knives. So when I said the comparison was going to be a little bit different, what I meant by that was I'm not going to just have other button locks to compare to. For one, don't have a lot of button locks. And I didn't want to just lay out a bunch of front flippers or something. So what I did was I picked one in, a total of 5 different opening methods. So we have obviously the Civivi Altus right here, which is a button lock with a thumb stud. We have the Civivi Bow, which is your typical liner lock flipper. We have the CJRB Feldspar, which is just a thumb stud liner lock. The CRKT Pilar 3, which is a thumb hole frame lock. Let me move these out a little bit more because I'm going to be putting some info on screen for you guys in just a bit. And then finally, we have the Petrified Fish Mini Beluga, which is a front flipper, also has a fuller. We're going to open these up in a second. Real quick, I just want to touch base on some specs on them. So the Civivi Altus comes in at 7225, 3.05 inch blade. It is from Nitro-V, 3.1 ounces. The Civivi Bow, 6575, 2.92 inch blade, Nitro-V, 2.11 ounces. So the Bow is a whole ounce less than the Altus. Now, 2 to 3 ounces, when you're playing in that range, they're going to feel very similar. But it's a good chunk you're deducting from 3 to 2. That's a third of the weight cut off. Next, we have the CJRB Small Feldspar. Very affordable, very cheap. I think it's the cheapest one here, actually, at $34.95. It's got a 3-inch blade, D2 steel, 2.62 ounces. Then we have the CRKT Pilar 3 at $50.15. Again, D2 steel, 2.89 ounces. That's not that bad considering it's a steel frame lock on the other side and G10 on this side. And finally, we have the Petrified Fish Mini Beluga. Again, very affordable at $48.99 with a 2.99 inch blade, 14C28N steel, 3.37 ounces. So the Beluga, or the Mini Beluga, and the Altus are the heavier ones at just over 3 ounces, where everything else here is sitting in the 2 ounce, anywhere from low 2s to higher 2s. Again, these are all more or less going to be pocket-friendly knives. Let's take a look at all of them. I want to say they're all deep carry as well. So we have the Altus, which is just a rapid fire deployment. Closing, as you can tell, I'm still getting used to it, but this thing just deploys like crazy. Ergos are great. Again, deep carry pocket clip. The Civivi Bow, I love this guy. I have another unboxing with this one. I will link up here. The action is incredible. It is very thin for what it is for a liner lock. It is extremely light at, like we said, 2.11 ounces. You get a lot of knife in a little package that looks amazing. I love the way Civivi does this stonewash on their Nitro-V. You have a black G10 that's just super smooth. It adds more of like an elegant look than what I would call a more rugged looking G10 over here. Again, deep carry pocket clip, all blacked out as far as the hardware and clip. The CJRB Small Feldspar, very elegant looking knife. This one is in their blue G10, the smooth G10, reminiscent of the Bow. It's like a smoother G10. You got the gold accent on the pivot collar on both sides. Deep carry pocket clip. It's on bearings. All of these knives are on bearings, actually. And thumb stud deployment. drops very, very nicely. We'll leave that here. Then we have what I would say the most rugged knife of the bunch, which is the CRKT Pilar 3. Beautiful knife. Steel frame lock. Pocket clip is in the, looks like a deep carry, but you have a lot sticking out up here. You know, I don't mind it. I love the gold or the brass backspacer. Black G10. This is a really nice upgrade compared to the first Pilar, which I have. And surprisingly, this is actually lighter than the first Pilar, even though it's bigger. The first one was stainless steel everywhere. Here they put G10, and this one's on bearings, unlike the first one. Many deployment options, obviously, because you have the hole. You could do your Spidey flick, you could do your slow roll, and you could also do your thumb flick. I'm sorry, my dog is going a little crazy down there. So I have smaller hands, like I was saying. I could do full 4 fingers on the back or choke up here with the choil. This is an awesome knife. Did I go over the specs yet? No, I did that before. Yes, I did. What am I saying? Okay. And last is the Mini Beluga by Petrified Fish. Again, deep carry, one of the deepest carry pocket clips. You can literally see it peeking out through the front of it. And it's reversible. Before we go too crazy, because I know this means a lot to folks, this guy looks reversible. This is not reversible. This is reversible. Not reversible. And this is reversible, although at a first glance, you might not think it is. It's because they put the clip and they sandwich it in between the G10 scale and the steel liner. You're going to notice on this side, there's a little hole. Basically, you undo those 2 screws, or these 2 screws, you flip it around, shove it in, and it clamps in between. Front flipper, like I said, these are all different. You have your button lock thumb stud, your flipper, your normal thumb stud, your opening hole, and now a front flipper. And this is a great little front flipper. I do have a video on this unboxing. I will link it up here again if you want to check it out. All of these I basically have unboxings for. Even the CRKT, I unboxed with a few others. I will put that up here in a second as well if you want to check that out. This is an awesome blade. When I first got it, the action did not impress me, but I took it apart, cleaned it, and now it flies open and it drops pretty nicely. It actually has a fuller that's very, very usable for reverse flicking and slow rolling. Super easy to slow roll. So again, this video it's about the Altus unboxing, but I wanted to give some other options of knives that have different opening methods. So with all of this being said, I think all 3 of these are great knives. I feel like the Beluga and the Pilar 3 are probably more heavy use. I feel like the small Feldspar is more of a sleek office carry, not as aggressive use of a knife. Same with the Civivi bow, which is one of my favorites. For a small knife, you can definitely use this for EDC, whatever you want, but it's a beautiful knife with incredible action. And today's knife, which I think fits kind of in between the classy, easygoing and the ruggedness. Because like I said, this guy has some heft to it. Not only does it have some heft to it, but it just feels rugged. The G10, the way it opens and locks up, not super tight. I feel a hair of wiggle, but I'm really stressing down on it. It just feels really good. But like I said, the so-called D10, what's keeping it closed, it's pretty aggressive. You've seen me fail it a few times already. You do have some contouring around here, which does give you easy access. Maybe I wasn't using it properly. You could go straight up and get ridiculously fast deployment, or more on the side, still fast, or slow roll, or reverse flick like I showed you before, or just use the button and catch it, of course. So a few more real quick that I want to bring in, because I don't do this too often. I got to learn to do it a little bit more. I want to do a little size comparison. So what do we have? typical stuff here. I feel like most people either have these knives. Here, let me grab them real quick. I feel like most people either have these knives or have at least handled them, or at least know the size of them for comparison purposes. So we have the Rat 1 on top and the Rat 2 on the bottom. This one is, of course, going to be very, very similar to the Rat 2. These are obviously on washers, these two, but for being on washers, the Rat 2, it is awesome. So here it is, quick size comparison for anyone who's just curious. It definitely is on the smaller side. And then if anyone is curious, I think I have them hiding somewhere. Here we go. We have some Elementums, just, again, size comparison. It's not like these two are different sizes. These are the same size. One's in gray G10, one's in ebony wood. Let's just take one away to make it easier on the eyes right now. So they are about the same size, not too far off. Let's see, I got some notes here. The Elementum 2.96-inch blade, so a hair smaller. D2, 2.89 ounces. So a little bit lighter on this guy, a little bit smaller blade. D2 versus Nitro-V, and a lot cheaper. The G10 variant is about 50 bucks. This one might run you a little bit more with the ebony wood scales, but still going to be cheaper than the Altus. So what do I think about the Altus? Final conclusions compared to all the other knives on the table. I think from first impressions, it's a great knife for a button lock. It might take a little getting used to as far as closing it confidently, which I'm actually doing it better right now, so I guess it just takes time to get used to. But I will say I feel it's a bit overpriced. For $72.25, this does not feel or look like a $72 knife when it comes to Civivi or any of the other knives on the table. The Feldspar is half the price at $35. The Mini Beluga is $49. That just feels better in the hand. The Conspirator, I believe, is 70-something. Is it 75? And that knife is huge. Comes with micarta. That's a beautiful knife. So, I don't know. I think it's a nice knife. And if you really like button locks and you really like Civivi, then maybe pick one up. But it's definitely not my favorite, just from first initial impressions, although it does rock it out like a freaking automatic when, when you use those thumb studs. I just, for some reason, can't, like, I see this as like a $45, $55 knife. Again, I might be off, but the Nitro-V is definitely a huge step up in steel from some other steels and everything. But I'm not feeling it for this price point. I've been wanting to check out the Kaiser Original. A lot of people compare it to this. It's been out of stock for a while. So pretty soon I will check out the Kaiser Original. And we'll see. Maybe that one will be a better option. So that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing for future videos, upcoming giveaways. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment. All that good stuff. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.